Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin calls out punter Pressley Harvin for being inconsistent at punting the football and giving the 49ers good field position, which led to easy points allowed from the Steelers defense. So, Pressley Harvin, when you look at the game against the 49ers, he punted the ball and he punted it with an average of 42.3 yards per punt, but several of those punts gave the 49ers short fields and were shanked punts. And Mike Tomlin, in his press conference on Tuesday, talking about the upcoming game, had this to say about Pressley Harvin being inconsistent. Here's the quote. "I didn't think we did a good enough job punting the football. I thought that was a component of it early, especially early. Their first two scores were on short fields. For the field position component, if you're getting off the field on position downs and your net punting isn't good, chances are your opponent will be on short fields. When there are short fields, it drives up the prosperity to score. There are analytical studies that outline drive starts to scoring. We all understand that in this business. I would remiss if I didn't mention that level of factor of the game being a significant letdown for us." So that's his quote. That's what he had to say. And he kind of called them out right there, saying that he was part of the reason why the Steelers defense gave up so many points. So looking at Harvin, like I said, he had an average of 42.3 yards per punt, and it came across 6 total punts. And unfortunately, he only landed one of his punts inside the 20-yard line. But that component isn't really that big of a deal because the Steelers had terrible field position. We're going 3 and out, so I don't expect them to have 80-yard punts. But he did shank a lot of punts. He proceeded to hit a 34-yard punt, giving the 49ers ball at their own 46-yard line, which then led to a lot of points. That was just one of the few examples of him shanking a punt, which then led to points for the 49ers offense, and then it kind of looked bad on the Steelers defense, because it looks like the Steelers defense is giving up points. But when the offense is going 3 and out, or not doing anything, not moving the ball, and then the punter shanks a punt, it puts the defense in such a bad position that it looks like the Steelers defense is terrible because they're allowing so many points. But yes, the Steelers defense was not good. I'm not making an excuse for it. But when you look at the other hand of it, the offense put them in a bad position because they made them stay on the field the whole game, and then the punter came and started shanking punts, giving the ball to the 49ers on a short field. And if you already have the ball at your own 46-yard line, on the other team's 46-yard line, so you need 46 more yards to get a touchdown, that's really bad field position because you're already on the team's 50-yard line, past the 50-yard line, and it gives you such a short field that you're basically at least going to get a field goal, and then that means the defense is at least going to give up 3 points, which then looks terrible for their defensive stats. So, Pressley Harvin, this call out from Matt Canada is kind of a gut check moment, because if you remember, just looking at the training camp battle this offseason, the Steelers brought in Braden Mann in the offseason, in training camp, preseason, to compete with Pressley Harvin III. But even though Pressley Harvin clearly passed that challenge and clearly won the battle between him and Braden Mann, based off his kicks in training camp, based off his kicks in the preseason, he won the job. But it's still a gut check moment because there was supposed to be a level of discomfort for him, meaning that his job is up in the air, meaning that the Steelers could sign someone else to replace him, and maybe that would elevate his game. But it seems like from week 1, it has not elevated his game. And those woes continue from last season because this whole thing starts off from him being drafted by the Steelers. Ever since he was drafted, the thing with him has been inconsistency, meaning that he would have a punt, which is a really good punt for like 56 yards, but then he would come back with one for like 36 yards. So it's really inconsistency with him and the Steelers punting game and special teams. And when you have a component like that, which is really inconsistent, all you have to do is punt the football. There's really no pressure to punt the football other than just kicking it as far as you can, hitting it off a good spot in your foot. Yes, there's other thing that goes into it like directional kicking, but you really just have to kick it basically as far as you can and listen to Danny Smith and how he wants you to punt it. But the Steelers That's been a problem with them. That's why they brought in Braden Mann. And just this week, after those comments by Mike Tomlin, the Steelers have now brought in Brad Wing to kind of compete with Pressley Harvin in practice and kind of get a look at him to see if he could become a player for the Steelers, which they have as a punter. If you remember, back in like 2015, 2016, Brad Wing was actually a part of the Steelers. So now they bring him back and kind of have it in Pressley Harvin's mind that his job is up in the air. And if he doesn't improve, then things will change for him on this team immediately. Just looking at the rankings from week 1, Pressley Harvin ranked as the 4th worst punter in the league in week 1 at punting the ball. So those stats, like I said, good punts, bad punts, but his ranking was worse because he did shank a lot of punts. So Pressley Harvin, he needs to step up immediately. And just looking at Brad Wing, if you don't remember who he is, let me just tell you what he's done with the Steelers and in this league in general. I said he was on the team in 2015-16, but he was actually on the team in 2014, but was traded to the New York Giants ahead of the 2015 season. Wing, he spent 3 seasons punting for the Giants, and most recently, he punted with Santonio Bramas of the XFL. For his career, he's averaged 44.7 yards per punt in the NFL and finished with exactly 100 punts inside the 20-yard line of his 325 career punts. Wing was a lot better with his Bramas team when he averaged 47.9 yards per punt on 42 punts. He's also spent time with the Memphis Express in a short-lived stunt in the American football back in 2019. Looking at this workout of the Steelers bringing him in for kind of a training and kind of to see if he's going to be making the team, it's not necessarily as competition, I believe, for Pressley Harvin III. I don't believe Brad Wing's going to overtake him as a starter at punter, but it's more so to get in the mind of Pressley Harvin based off Mike Tomlin's comments, Mike Tomlin's unhappiness with the punter position, with the punting field position that he's led to with his inconsistent punts. It's more though to send a message to him saying that don't feel comfortable. That's Mike Tomlin's saying. You always hear him say don't feel comfortable and kind of live for the unexpectancy. And him having shanked punts for 3 years now, and in his first game doing the exact same after kind of seeing the competition he had with Braden Mann is kind of worrying because you would think that he would have got better. But obviously, it looks like he's the same old self, and you can't rely on him. If you're pinned back at your own 20-yard line and you need a punt to get out and switch field position, you can't rely on him to have a good punt. You never know if it's going to be a good punt or a bad punt. And I guess Mike Tomlin sees that. He wants to bring in more competition, so he brought in Brad Wing to maybe send a message to Pressley Harvin saying, your job's up in the air. Do better and kind of hit better punts and help this team win games. Don't be the reason why the defense allows points, and don't be the reason or one of the reasons why we lose the game. So this is more of a message being sent to Pressley Harvin III than actually Brad Wing kind of being the starter for the team. But all in all, I agree with Mike Tomlin 100%. Pressley Harvin needs to be better, and he needs to be better immediately. And with that being said, that's the end of this video. Let me know down in the comments below, how do you feel about Mike Tomlin's comments towards Pressley Harvin III in his conference, in his interview to the media? Usually he doesn't call players out like this, where he specifically says that it's one of the reasons why we lost the game was that specific reason and that person in general. So how do you feel as though Mike Tomlin is calling out Pressley Harvin III? Do you believe he's right to do so because Pressley Harvin III has been inconsistent throughout his career and once again was versus the 49ers in week 1? Or do you believe it wasn't his fault, it was more so the offense and the defense? Let me know down in the comments below. And also, how do you feel about them bringing in Brad Wing to kind of compete maybe with Pressley Harvin III, or at least get them thinking that there's a competition? Let me know down in the comments below your thoughts. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below as well if you like serious content, analysis, and reports. Like the video, turn on post notifications down below for this channel so you get notified whenever I post that next Steelers video, and you're able to stay up to date with all news, rumors, reports, highlights, everything like that as soon as it drops, and stay up to date with all the latest of the Steelers world. I've been covering everything Pittsburgh Steelers, posting every day, covering them. So if you want to stay up to date, like, comment, and subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.